something
gave us the
wrong and they
hook.
cut us off.
We've been
Gave us-
hacked.
Gave us the Facebook hook.
It might be like Comcast's On Demand. When you watch something on demand, it used to be they would cut the last minute of it off, so you wouldn't know how some stuff
Oh, that's
ended
kinda-
unless you recorded the next episode and then you would get it at the beginning.
Well, that's like
Oh.
Sue and I were watching NCIS the other night, and it ended up, and I record it because I usually fall asleep before it's over. So we're watching it, and then
As we do,
it
as we
was
do.
a continuation one into the NCIS Hawaii, and we're like,
Oh.
"Oh, what happened?"
Is a
We didn't-"
crossover episode where they
Yeah.
did both, yeah.
I was like, Sue and I were both like, "What's going to happen?" I don't know. No reruns.
I'll bet they caught the bad guy.
I don't know why I'm getting a bubble that says explore music videos, so some kind of suggestion.
Well, I got a text from
It's
myself
live.
yesterday.
Did you
Yeah,
You
that's the
did?
new scam, apparently.
text from self?
Yeah, it says from me, and it says, "Congratulations, your bill's paid.
Oh,
Click
yeah.
here for your free reward."
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting that all the time.
Oh,
Like,
every time I
your
hit that.
bill is paid.
You're like, "Oh, I have
Thanks so much.
I have a cousin who's an emir in South Africa who needs me to send them $200 to get $1 million."
Yeah, I'm on
Yeah.
a good list though because I got an email from my provider that said that my email was no longer going to be supported, so I needed to enter my information into this form.
I kept getting that too for a while, and I
that's a
went
good one.
through the Microsoft thing, and it was like, that's not a thing, because I went like to check where I get, and I was like, no. So, and I kept like blocking it and putting it in spam, and then it would just come with a different.
Yep.
That happened for like 6 months straight till it finally was like trained to.
I can totally see where
Weed
people
those
would
out.
fall for that one.
Well, yeah, because it had like the icons
yeah.
and everything. It looked exactly like it came from Microsoft, except I was like, I don't think so.
Well, it's
It
like
doesn't make any sense.
The weird thing for me, like Facebook, is like every couple of weeks or so, all of a sudden I get like a gajillion ads. And I
You're probably talking near your phone.
Well,
Do you
I
guys
heard
get
you.
that? Like,
That's the best.
Keith and Deb watched NCIS last night too.
They could probably
this
tell
was
you
the
what
one
happened.
this is the one we recorded on,
They could probably
on
tell you what
Monday.
happened.
It was Monday nights.
Monday nights. Let
Monday nights.
Pastor Phil know what happened.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened on Monday nights, NCIS Hawaii.
That's what's going to be next week's Gathered. We're going to talk about
We're going to
NCIS
talk
Hawaii.
about NCIS Hawaii. Hawaii.
So what do we got going on?
I don't know.
So this
I
Sunday.
don't even know what day is it.
It's Thursday at noon.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, so it's not Groundhog Day.
Day. No, I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. I don't hear the bells though.
I'm very disappointed. If I was just this much more disappointed, I would get up and go look. But I'm not there yet.
Not quite there.
So last night, thank you to the Cartwrights and to Ed Cheney for soup and sandwich
soup and
last
sandwich.
night.
It
Very
was really
delicious.
good.
The lasagna soup was had a nice little twang to it. So
What do you put it? Are there noodles in the lasagna?
there was
soup?
it's lasagna noodles.
It's lasagna noodles.
Yeah,
It was fantastic.
it was.
Interesting.
Did you try the chowder?
I didn't get to it. Amy said it was great though, and I should have got that.
Yeah,
I said,
me
wow.
too. But thank you for that last night. We had quite a few people here. This Sunday we will be blessing the quilts and a prayer shawl that we've had made. I've got a box full, and then I think Kate's going to be bringing a bunch more. So we'll do the blessing of the quilts and the prayer shawl on Sunday morning.
And it's a first Sunday,
It is the first Sunday, and we're going to have a chat.
so there's no faith formation.
No faith formation, no kids faith formation, no adult faith formation, but
We're just fellowshipping
we're just fellowshipping. So come fellowship with us
all together.
all together. You know, we noticed that over the last couple of weeks, a lot more folks have been coming out. So we wanted to just be able to have that face to face, and you know,
But still not super close to the face-to-face.
yeah, not super.
Eyesight.
Yeah.
Appropriately distanced
Yeah, right.
face-to-face.
So, hey, and the thing that I didn't mention last week was that you put the new banners up.
Oh, yeah, the banners are
I
up.
know, I forgot to take a
So
picture
the new
of
banners
those.
are up with our mission statement on it. Through Christ, we joyfully feed the body, mind, and spirit of all.
I think they turned out really good, too.
Yeah.
With
I do.
I
I
like
like
good
I like-
feedback from
Thank you,
everybody.
Deb,
and-
for the light blue background idea.
Yeah,
That looks
yeah.
way better.
Absolutely. I think it looks really good. You know, the logo came out really nice on it too.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Signs by Tomorrow.
Signs by tomorrow.
I got it in a day, too,
I got it in a day.
oddly enough.
Good to know, good to know.
Yeah.
Priced reasonably?
I thought so.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Good.
Well, this video is not sponsored.
No, it is not. Unaffiliated.
I don't think- I
with
don't
St.
think-
Paul's
Unaffiliated.
Literature.
I don't think people
That was
want
my
to be
personal
associated
opinion.
with us.
Uh,
And then, not next. Is it next week? No, next week is not Holy Week.
Next
2 weeks.
Sunday starts Holy Week.
Well, next Sunday is Palm Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a procession of palms with hopefully as many kids that we can get here to get here.
Well, technically not next Sunday.
The next
Well,
Sunday
Sunday
is
is
This
Every day.
Sunday,
the
yes.
3rd.
Okay, I'm just verifying.
The
'cause
next
people get
Sunday is the
April
confused by
10th.
that.
April
There
10th.
you go.
Yes, April 10th is Palm Sunday.
I've had discussion, had people have discussions with me about using
About
those
the
terms.
next, yeah.
Well, see, the
Yeah.
church people are hard because we're already living into the next Sunday. Like, we already know what the
Yeah.
Sunday is.
Yeah.
Right.
This Sunday, then there's the next
I
Sunday.
agree. I'm with you on that, but other people aren't always.
This next,
I
does
sometimes
that
get
confuse you
that
guys?
persnickety,
I know.
sometimes.
You know,
But, so yes, we will have, and actually this Sunday is Communion Sunday, so we'll be doing that. And one thing, check your epistle as it comes out this week, because there's an article in there from Patty Rymel about what we're going to do with communion beginning Easter Sunday, and we are going to start having communion every Sunday and see how that works here. Belinda's happy and overjoyed.
Belinda didn't vote for that, but that's okay.
but we'll all support the decision that was made.
Everybody can choose to do whatever they
That's
choose
correct.
to do.
That is correct. So during Holy Week, Palm Sunday again, I believe choir is going to process as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we've kind of got a
Figured
little
out the choir loft.
choir loft
They get
figured
comfy
out.
chairs.
Comfy
They
chairs.
get comfy chairs. And it's been nice having them back
And the anthems.
and
during
anthems
service.
and stuff. And we have access to some new music, so at some point we'll start experimenting with that as well.
Pull the guitar out.
Yeah, be like,
Saxophone.
Yikes.
Maybe a triangle. Maybe we're just at the triangle stage.
Well, anywho,
So Holy Week, Wednesday, worship at, do we do soup and sandwich Holy
Yeah.
Week Wednesday? Okay, so soup and sandwich at 6, and then it'll be the night prayers, which is called Compline, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It's a very brief service. Holy Thursday is at 7 o'clock, Maundy Thursday, and we'll be having Holy Communion there, and then the stripping of the altar at the end. Good Friday, 7 o'clock as well, and then the Easter egg hunt at 3. 3 on
The
Saturday, the 16th.
And we put in for really good weather. We put
I-
our slip
I've
in.
I've
see how
put
it
in the
goes.
request slip, but we'll see how it goes. You know, spring in Maryland.
Yeah.
Could snow, could have
Could.
tornadoes. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, we're supposed to get some heavy-duty
Yeah,
rain
the
today.
lighting out here looks really weird. Like it's not normal
Right.
afternoon lighting there.
Well, I mean, I got out of bed at 8 o'clock this morning, I was like, boy, sure is dark out still.
Yeah.
You know. And then Easter Sunday, we'll be here at 8 o'clock for breakfast. What's the breakfast menu there, Russ?
I don't know yet. Might be a
Surprise.
Pop-Tart and a donut. I
Oh
don't know.
my God.
You ever put butter on a Pop-Tart?
No.
No? It's a
Not
song.
yet.
If my husband's watching, he'll be able to comment. He'll know what to say on that one.
But if you are planning on coming for Easter breakfast, let us know how many so we can gauge
We've been
closer.
keeping a tally over
Right.
there.
Because we want to make sure that we don't buy too much
And we have enough.
We definitely have enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sustainable amount.
RSVP.
Yep, please RSVP. And then worship at 9:30. So there will not be faith formation on Easter Sunday.
Correct, there will not be. But
And-
you are doing worship at
Autumn
Autumn
Lake.
Lake.
Right, at 2 o'clock.
So it's a very busy day.
Very busy day. And then the office is closed on Monday.
Good Friday and
Good
Easter
Friday.
Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he'll still probably
I'll be in the
working,
office
but
on
Joanne
Friday.
gets the
But I can
whole
guarantee,
4-day weekend.
I can guarantee I will not be in the office on Monday because I'm going
'Cause
to
office
my
is closed.
course. My distilling course.
Yeah, his reward for getting through the Lenten season is learning how to make a still.
Distilling the word.
Distilling 101.
Learning how to make a
Yes.
still. Huh. Interesting. Skills you need in the apocalypse 101,
Yep.
how to build a
I
still.
actually saw one on Facebook Marketplace last night.
Rule number
Oh.
1,
It
don't
looked
go
a-
blind.
Don't go blind.
It looked
Don't
a
go
little
blind.
funky, so
Yeah, you gotta
yeah,
be discerning about that kind of
Yeah.
used equipment.
yeah.
Then that's pretty much in all things, but
Right.
you know,
Okay.
we're
Are we going to get to it?
we're gonna get to the subject. Oh yes, off subject. Question for Russ:
Uh-oh.
how to exchange the keys for the fobs from Miss
From
Diane?
Have to get a hold of me and set up
So-
time to meet.
Yeah, get a hold of Russ. Call, email,
Yeah.
Yep. My information's probably everywhere.
everywhere.
It's
Everywhere.
like Savoir Faire. Savoir Faire is
We're not putting it.
everywhere.
We're not going to say it on the Facebook live stream though.
No. No.
We don't need
Would you like my social?
He's
Mother's maiden name.
mother's maiden name.
Who was your favorite teacher? So what are we doing today?
Beyond bantering, probably another social message from the ELCA.
Yes, we are. And I think we're talking about immigration, the social message on immigration today, and a lot of it really was about accompaniment again. You know, about being a voice for those who cannot be heard, and this is really where I kind of have put my stance, is that there really needs to be a discernible path forward for immigration. And I think that's what this says in here, is that we need to advocate for laws and for systems that promote immigration without regard to race, ethnicity, that kind of thing, which is what I guess back after World War II, it was really based on, European model of let's see how many of Europeans we can get to come into the country, and it was really kind of restricted to that. And that's this statement, this message kind of advocates that we need to, like the church, be more inclusive and
I thought they had a great line in this, though. We need to be discriminating without discrimination.
right. And
And I
I
was
did.
like, that's pretty
Oh,
solid right
that's a-
there. You can put that on a shirt, bumper sticker.
People being people.
People
People,
being
and people. Yep. Nope. And that's really, what Christ has asked for us, is to welcome one another. And we just got to be able to give people a path forward. And I think, there are ways. And I really, it befuddles me why it's so difficult for our elected officials to not be able to come up with a plan to do that.
I think,
I
like
think
all things,
our elected officials are a befuddlement to us all.
whatever it takes to get elected and not make the wrong people mad at you, or the amount
and to
of
get
people
reelected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
so I think that's most of the problem.
it just,
There's a lot of bureaucracy, and again, I think I may have said this online. It's hard for an English-speaking person to understand all of the immigration requirements anyway,
Right.
much less if English were your second language. I mean, you've already got that barrier, plus the barrier of understanding all of the hoops they want you to jump through. fulfill the obligations to be here legally. There are different terminologies. Immigration is different from refugee. And I think, well, this was written in '98, but more applicable to today. We have more of a refugee situation than an immigration situation.
Right.
Though we do still have some immigration issues as well.
Yeah.
But between the Afghan withdrawal and now everything that's happening in Ukraine,
Right.
I mean, those are different, circumstances. They might not want, people might not want to stay here forever and
They just need a
immigrate
safe place
here,
to be.
but they might need, a safe place to be for a while.
I certainly understand that, and it was part of the struggle that I had with a lot of the South American refugee.
Migration, yeah.
To me, that was just and it's just my opinion, was a lot of it was politically motivated to do whatever, and it really wasn't. I don't know.
Well, the hardest part with a lot of that is trying to weed out what's an actual fact and what's not based on
Who's giving
who's
you
giving
the
it
information?
from
Right.
which party,
Right.
and it's pretty sad that that's where we're at now. But I think we've always been there. It's just more blatant now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Well, and communication is so worldwide now. I mean, anybody with a smartphone could, see President Biden saying, welcome to America, we're lifting these restrictions from the Trump administration or whatever. And that to be interpreted by, again, someone whose English is their second language to like,
Okay.
open border, let's go.
Here
You know
I
what I
go,
mean? Like
right.
that, the free flow of information, whether or not it's understood or correct, is huge.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for this country to have, a set immigration policy where, and obviously you have to have wiggle room one way or the other because of whatever circumstance may arise, which is with everything that happens. But, for us not to have, especially for, like undocumented folks who are here in the country right now, how that are what's the words I'm looking for? Productive in our society, that are contributing to our society. Isn't there a way that we can make that happen? That okay, you come into the office on Monday and hi, I'm Phil Beck and I'm a worker in the field and I don't have papers, but I want to do what's right. I've been here for 10 years. Shouldn't there be a process for that to happen?
Except that's a very scary thing.
It is.
Because if you have, no papers, it's very hard to go through that background check, as we were, this was written in '98 and doesn't really reflect all of the angst that I think our country has after 9/11.
Sure.
That was part of my take from this statement was like, it's not addressing any of the fears I have now of welcoming that newcomer, that anxiety that I feel after having lived through that.
Right.
And the people, who, and in different generations may have different opinions of that. The young adults of today don't remember what that experience was. It was in the history books for them, but they didn't live through it, just like I didn't live through World War II and the immigration after
Right.
that. It has to be able to be discriminating without discrimination.
Sure.
Right, and the other thing, I know we're going to actually get into this at some point.
I don't know, maybe.
Or maybe not.
Maybe I
Maybe
don't know.
we're just
But where they
it's not long.
talk about the discriminating process where you make sure that the people you're bringing in are going to contribute and not be a burden. But then you think about that and you're like, if they need help, there's a reason they can't contribute, then
Right.
shouldn't you have some sort of merciful aspect? But it's really it's a super complicated thing,
Yeah.
you know?
And depending on how much money you have,
Right.
you get bumped up into things and make things move smoother for you versus someone who is seeking asylum and can't afford that high-priced immigration attorney that's going to walk you through the process pretty expediently. You know, you're kind of in limbo for years in some cases.
Right.
It's, like I said, it's very confusing to me, and I can read it and understand it, but it's still very confusing.
All right, and you also don't want, you know, if they're coming from a country that's got, there's a reason they're leaving.
Right.
You know, it's because it's terrible there or the crime or whatever, and then they move here, but they bring that part of it with them.
Right.
You don't want that either. You want people to be able to find some success in a way where if it was criminality,
That's
they don't end up
productive
having to get into that to live also once they get here, you know.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've voiced like my concern with the Ukrainian refugees who are the elderly women and children who are like the most vulnerable populations. And there's, I think I heard 4 million now that are
Yeah.
displaced outside of the Ukraine. Not to even, I mean, you know, just that the possibility of them being
Exploited.
exploited,
Right.
and what's the world's responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen? I don't know.
Well,
It's
you
a
also
lot.
look at it, you know, not a great movie, but was it 2012? Was it the name of the movie where there was an ice age or whatever?
Yeah.
And people in the U.S. had to.
Oh, no, that
go
was
to-
the day after
or
tomorrow.
the day after tomorrow, that's the one. But they all had to go to Mexico.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
because that was the only place to go. So you think about if something happened and we had to go somewhere, how would we want to be you know,
Received.
and how would
Received,
we want to enter that country? Would we want to go in and say, we're going to turn this into America too? Or are we going to try to
Assimilate.
not necessarily assimilate, but blend in a way where we're not turning it into our old place. We're making it a new place. You know, maybe we're bringing something new to it that helps things and doesn't and adds to what's already there.
Adds to
you know
their
what I mean?
community. Do unto others as you would have
Yeah.
done to you.
That old golden rule.
That old saying. I did like the drawing on experience, like when people are kind of hesitant to welcoming newcomers, you know, look at the history of the Lutheran Church and how it was started here in America as immigrants were migrating
Right.
here
The Germans came from,
you know,
you know, Germany.
Germany.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Swiss,
Weird.
Swiss
Swiss, yeah.
Lutherans. You had, you know,
Yeah.
Norwegian, German that. Or Norwegian
And how our
Germans.
current churches, you know, like reflect that
Right.
heritage, but how can we then, you know, we're still not speaking German unless it's, you know, Reformation Sunday, but
Ach du Liebe.
how can we welcome newcomers and respect their history and what they would bring to the church? And, you know, I
As I was reading through this a couple of times, I was struck by the fact that, you know, especially like our Afghan refugees, even Ukrainian refugees, and anybody, how hard it would be for me, from the church perspective, to kind of, I mean, not to come beside, not to accompany, not to whatever, but, you know, I wouldn't want to kind of throw my faith on them because they have a different faith. I think that's, for me, a challenge.
yeah,
Right, and that's one of those melting pot things,
Yeah.
you know. And one of the things that people want to come here for is religious freedom.
Sure,
too,
sure.
yeah,
But that, you know, as I thought more and more about how we are trying to accompany Afghan refugees, and, you know, how am I going to be looked at in trying to, you know, come beside somebody like that
without,
without imposing
yes, that's a good-
myself on them.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right, yeah.
And not just me personally, but
The
what
whole,
I
Frederick
represent.
County, yeah, yeah.
What I
Or
represent.
the Frederick Conference that's helping resettle this family
Right.
that we're
Right, and plus with,
helping support
with
this year.
the language barrier, I mean, and, you know, certain cultures don't necessarily, sarcasm doesn't, you know,
It
go
doesn't-
over well.
No,
And so that would be a huge problem for both of us.
yeah,
But, you know, so when you're talking to somebody who's a stranger, culturally, sometimes you may not be on the same page, even though, you know, you're both trying to get along, you may offend somebody by accident.
right.
You know, so a lot of that stuff's really hard.
Yeah, one of the things was, you know, so one of the things to do was reach out to Lutheran Immigration, I don't know, we went to one of their seminars right before,
Refugees, yeah, services.
right before,
LIRS.
yes,
Yep.
right before pandemic hit, and it was really great information. I would have loved
'Cause
to
I
have been
learned
able
a
to like
lot, yeah.
explore that a little bit more.
Right.
But
Learned a
then
lot
we
of
got
the
like hit with
COVID.
worldwide pandemic.
It's a long acronym. AMMPARO.
Amparo.
Amparo,
That's
yeah.
that's something different.
Oh,
And I wrote
It's a
it
second.
out.
It's a second
oh,
organization.
LIRS, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, LIRS.
LIRS.
Amparo is accompanying migrant minors with protection, advocacy, representation, and opportunities.
Rolls right off the tongue.
It does. It's kind of like our mission statement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, those are the things that, you know, for us as, you know, members of the worldwide church to seek out those, because like Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services has folks that are able to, and we've had, like Lutheran Social Services has come out to talk to us and give us information and let us know what it is and how it is that we can be accompanying.
Yeah, and I liked that they emphasized, you know, what can you do in your community? You know, we're not really on a border that we are having, you know, the same problem as the people in El Paso or in Miami per se, but
There's those
we are.
Pennsylvanians, though.
There's those Pennsylvanians. But we're in a unique place to be very close to DC and Baltimore.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're not, you know, the border that people are going to be piling up, but the accompaniment part of helping them seek citizenship is something we could do. But I liked that the statement emphasized, you know, find out what's happening in your area and help support
And,
the
yeah.
services that are happening right there where you are.
Well, if there's a
that
group
kind
you
of
want to
likes
learn
the-
about, I'm sure there's one nearby, you know. Everybody in the world has somebody here.
Well, we have a
Yeah.
lot of migrant workers in our area that are that frequent even our thrift shop, you know, across the street. What would we say about doing like English as a second language classes over, you know, or something along those lines, or
Yeah,
bring
and-
out someone who has Spanish as their language to communicate with the people in our community.
Right. And that was a thing that was kind of asked of me when I first got here about speaking Spanish, and I can speak just enough to keep me out of trouble.
Maybe
Probably enough to get you in trouble.
get
too.
you into trouble.
Kept me alive one night, so yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of this really is about accompaniment and about how
And fair laws.
fair laws, exactly. Yeah, how, and fair laws that are contemporaneous with the times.
Did you guys think that the this is on page 7, the bottom of page 7, that the objectives that we set forth as a Lutheran church were established in 1969 and still pretty relevant today?
Yeah.
I mean, there was really nothing I would change or add to those that's, you know,
It's sort of like the basic
50-some years old.
building blocks of being a good human.
Kind of, yeah.
You know,
You're like,
they shouldn't
They
change.
shouldn't change. They shouldn't change.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
The one thing that kind of struck me and kind of hit a bone was
Sounds
on page
painful.
5, where it says newcomers without legal documents also are among the most vulnerable, which we understand. And we're called to welcome all people regardless of their legal status. And I went to the footnote, and it said, the footnote says the church acknowledges its responsibility of ministering to and advocating the human rights of undocumented aliens to Canada and the U.S. And I'm okay with that.
I don't think they mean just open the border and let them go wherever they want. I think they mean when they get here, we don't
Come beside
throw
them.
them in jail and
Yeah.
throw away the key and come back sometime and check
Because
on
when I
them, you know what
first
I mean?
when I first read it without reading the footnote, that's what I was like. I had a little.
See, I mean, the undocumented part was what, you know, I know they're talking about the visas and the paperwork to
Right.
get into the country. But it was probably 2 years ago. We were coming back from doing a soup kitchen, and we had learned from someone there that there was a man living in the bus stop outside where the old Walmart was, like living in the little glass enclosure. And so we had stopped and gave him food, and he knew no English, you know, accepted the food, but we had found out, you know, through channels that he was from Africa, a refugee seeking asylum, but had been accosted after he got here and robbed. So he literally had no papers. Like, he had
They
no
took his stuff.
identification
Yeah.
at all to even show that he was who he was saying he was. And so to work with him and even get him placement in a shelter has been difficult for FCA, Frederick Community Action Agency, yeah, FCA. So they, you know, so like the undocumented is just, that was the first thing that I thought of, was like, oh my gosh, how would I be if like nothing that proved I was me, and I'm in a different country and living in a bus
I mean,
terminal thing,
that-
you know, it's,
that was me when I went to Europe. I was deathly afraid of losing my passport.
well.
I was like,
don't.
you know,
Yeah, it's taped to my person.
yeah, right?
But I mean, even being in a foreign country where you don't speak the language or not very well, even when you have papers on you, if you're somewhere you don't know where you are, just trying to get directions to somewhere is hard
It's
enough.
so hard.
And you
Right.
think about, you don't speak the language and you don't have anything at all.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, that's horrible.
yeah, horrible. I think he got to the appropriate people that could help him, an embassy of some sort, but it was still like,
Yeah.
how did he end up in Frederick at a bus stop? I don't know. But because he couldn't communicate, like and finding someone that spoke the dialect that he spoke was challenging.
Yeah. I mean, that was me working in DC. I mean, think of, I worked a lot around the embassies, and
You're like, I don't know what you're saying.
yeah,
I don't know. Can you write it down? Do you end up accidentally speaking louder when you're trying to explain something to someone? And
That doesn't work?
it doesn't work, but I have done that several times with the people at the, like, I don't mean to get louder, but after the fact, like, one of my kids will be like, Mom, she spoke Spanish. She wasn't deaf. And I was like, I know, but I don't know how to say it. It was frustrating for me to not be able to communicate with her as it was for her not to be able to communicate with me. But I've tried Spanish a couple of times. My brain is just like, ugh, it just spits it right back out. I don't want to, I can't. I know how to say like sunglasses, but I don't even, like, not at all useful words.
I was gonna say, that's gonna come in real handy.
Real.
Once.
I've lost my sunglasses.
It's very
Yeah.
specific,
Donde
but when
está
you
el
need it, you
baño?
got it in the holster.
Anyway,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But again, I think, and I believe that the two of you will agree that much like the rest of our social statements and our social messages, this social message really comes down to the core of accompaniment and being able to advocate for somebody who may need help.
Yep. Yep, and they do go into, we understand we need to do background checks on people. We just can't let anybody in and all that. So, they aren't Pollyanna with this, saying, if
Right.
we just hug everybody, everything will be great.
Right.
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 And this was I'm going to give it the quotes, updated in 2018.
Not,
It has one paragraph added to
Yeah, I
the
was about
end.
to say.
I mean, the other stuff is still okay, still good
Was it
information,
just the
but
border
it's
with
not.
Mexico that was added in 2018?
Yeah, as far as I could
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah,
But everything else looked like it was still
pretty much
from
in
the
the 90s.
90s.
Yeah.
98, yep.
Not that any of it is out of date, but
Right.
Yep. But I think, again, it comes down to what we're asked to do, where we urge our leaders to seek feasible responses to the situation that offer flexible and humane ways for undocumented persons who have been in this country for a specified amount of time. That's what I talked about earlier. But how do we do that, and how do we make that fair for everyone?
And it's like a lot of
It's
these things, it's just like the people who want to, pay for people's college, and all that stuff. Well, all the people who worked hard to do it themselves and, work 3 jobs, they're going to feel bad about it. The people who went through the immigration process to become a citizen,
Are gonna
if you just
rubber
stamp some
stamp
people,
somebody,
I don't think you're ever going to make everybody happy, but you really got to look at what's the end game,
yeah.
Right.
And I think we should take this opportunity real quick to just promote what we're doing
So
to
what
be supportive.
St. Paul's is doing with the Conference of Lutheran Pastors of the Delaware Maryland Synod is we have committed as a group to support a refugee family for a year, which entails some financial support. It entails furnishing a place where they're going to live, helping them navigate transit systems, the school system, how to get their kids enrolled in school, how to get them in touch with job services, et cetera. So we as a conference of the Lutheran pastors had agreed to do this, and we brought it back to our congregations, and I think there's 9 or 10 or 11 congregations that are supporting this
I feel like
effort.
there's 10, yeah.
Yeah, where we're moving forward. We have a plan, and we're figuring out, it should be solidified somewhere in the near future as to what we're doing. But we as St. Paul's, as part of our Lenten journey, are using the model 40 Days of Giving to raise funds to support this effort. Sheila Kaler, who is, I don't want to say she's our chairman of Generosity, but I think she's pretty close.
I don't think
She works with the Generosity team.
She
She's
works
the
with the
go-to
Generosity
person,
team.
so.
She's the go-to person. She set a goal of $4,000 for us to meet during this Lenten season, and that's really not a tough goal to make if you
I
think
like the
about
way
it.
she broke that down.
Yeah, so if you give $5 a day for the 40 days, that's a $200 gift, and if we have
20 families.
20 families do that, then we've reached that goal. And I know that we had gotten, the last time I checked with Amy and Troy which is a couple of weeks ago, we had already had $500, and I know we had gotten another gift from friends of the church yesterday, and just in talking with some of our members, they said they're ready to support it, and it's something that we want to do over and above our normal giving. So if you feel so moved by the Holy Spirit, we ask that you consider doing that.
Yep, and you can give online or you can give through the office. Just note that it's the, you can either say 40 Days of Giving or refugees.
Yep, refugee is better for.
Is probably better,
Yep.
yeah. Just
We got
make that
what, 2
notation
weeks
so we
left?
know it gets in the right. We've got a little over 2 weeks left till Easter.
Yep.
Tomorrow's the 1st, so 17-day countdown starts tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, no pressure, but
No
you got 2
pressure.
weeks left.
17 days.
Yeah, and again, I think
And we hope to
it's-
be able to celebrate that then on Easter as
Absolutely.
well, yeah.
And we're looking at not only supporting it financially, but through human capital and other gifts.
That sounded weird, human capital.
Well,
Time,
Hands and
time,
feet.
talents,
time and,
yeah,
time, yeah.
time and
I
talents.
like that better than human capital, because that sounds a little creepy.
I'd like to pay in human capital.
I would like to pay
Really?
Sorry,
I
this
would
isn't Soylent Green. But
the Afghan refugee families going, what? Human capital, wait, what did we sign up for?
bad mojo there.
Terrible
Sorry.
Lutherans.
But
Anywho,
anyway,
that's it. We'll be back next
we'll
week.
be back next week, and then we'll be taking 2 weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the 28th, Deb Horton will join Belinda and Russ to talk about end-of-life care, planning.
So we were doing homelessness next week?
You know, I looked at homelessness, it's only 4 pages.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We'll kick it around. There's a few.
We have no plan for next week, is what he's saying.
We have-
the
we'll
rest
have a
of
plan, though.
we have the rest of April planned out, but not next week.
Right.
It'll be
Okay.
something
We'll
good.
get
It'll be
there.
something.
So, and thank you to Deb for agreeing to step
Yes.
up and help us out while I have to do some,
You've been summoned
I've been summoned for my
to summoning.
first call theological training. So, yeah,
Because he's a newbie.
I'm a newbie.
He's a baby
neophyte.
pastor.
Still wet right back there.
All right, well,
All
signing
right.
off for this week.
digress.
We digress. No more bantering.
We bantered enough
We
today.
After
bantered
banter.
enough.
Okay, we'll see you Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Oh,
you
that's
must
right.
have the before
It says
and
it's
after.
7.